Thanks for tuning in to the Diaphragm Dynasty. I'm back with more R&B news. A question I was thinking about over the last week or so is where should we rank Genuine in his era? Because we know he had this great career and he had underplayed or underrated songs as well, which goes great for the discography argument and for the greatness argument because you have to have the production and you have to have uh, to my production wise, not music wise, but being product, productive and things like that. And you have to have, the hits and you have to have the B sides as well as I always talk about. Cause we know what your A sides could be, but what are your B sides as well? In this era, we know Genuine is one of the top in his era, of course. Um, And then in his era, when you want to go back to the 90s and you want to go to the early 2000s, or even if you want to go to more recent times with TGT, Genuine has stood the test of time throughout time because he existed through many eras, the prime 90s eras. He existed through now times, even though he's not as relevant as he was back then, being active in 1991 is when they give him credit for being active all the way to now. But anywhere from, the early 90s, mid 90s, from Pony in 96 all the way to uh, the TGT era, which was up until about 5 years ago, maybe. So, but I want to give his prime probably from Pony all the way to 96 to '03. During that time, you have to consider him, top 10, top five of his, well, probably top 10 of his era during that time, because you can't put him up there, of course. Well, Usher really wasn't up into that era at that time. So this is around, of course, the R. Kelly's is in that frame from 97 to '03. And then you just have a mesh of other artists that came together. So Usher, I guess you could put him in that top five. But I'll talk about the rankings a little bit more in a little bit. But Genuine is mostly known for Pony, which came out around 96. He gained natural attention from that song, especially in the recent era with the Magic Mike movie releasing and that being a part of the movie. So it kind of got a resurgence as of the last 10 years. But that song is one of the songs he can perform forever because of the crossover appeal. Not only was R&B, it was pop. Other genres and other cultures relate to that music and they like the song and the production. So it just has electronic type of song type of feel to it, and I think that's why it crossed over a lot. But he had other songs other than Pony that did well, So I don't just give him credit for Pony; I give him credit for his full discography for the most part. And that Pony song was unique because it had, you know, metaphoric ability to it. And when I say metaphoric ability to it, it's because when I used to sing Pony, I didn't realize what the song was about. Now, songs today have so much vulgarity and so much upfrontness that you know exactly what the song is talking about. They don't even try to hide anything anymore. But during Genuine's time, it was more creativity to the songs, and when they were making allusions or references to uh, sexual references and things like that, it had more obscurity to it. Now it's just upfront, it's more vulgar, it's more out there. But Pony definitely had that creativity of a song that you wasn't gonna know what it's talking about. It could make the radio. Now the songs now don't even make it to the radio because they don't have the creativity anymore. It's just out and about. But that Pony song was definitely unique for that reason. And just this ability to cross over, especially at a time where R&B, even to this day, is still seen is very difficult to cross over because they don't get a lot of credit for their singing ability, and some people don't like a lot of soulfulness or seasoning. I like to call it a flavor. So they like a lot of blandness. The country music, for example, the pop music, it doesn't have a lot of pizzazz to it. It doesn't have a lot of church feel to it. And the R&B music sometimes has a church feel to it. So a lot of people from other cultures and other genres don't respect the artistry because they don't like a lot of flavor to their stuff or like a lot of soul. So that's the unique ability that Pony had and that Genuine was able to capture with this Pony song. And it was major for that impact, and it doesn't get talked about enough what it did for R&B and what it's still doing for R&B to some respects because it still gets a lot of plays and spins. But Genuine had a lot of songs that a lot of people don't realize when you talk about his discography. So he had a nice run, back to back runs of, the same OG, What's So Different, So Anxious, None of Your Friends' Business, There It Is, Differences, which I like Differences more than I like Pony. Differences was one of the songs that when I started to fall in love with music, definitely carried me over to that side of loving that music, R&B music, and specifically. And he created great songs, but he created great moments as well. That takeaway song that he had with Aaliyah, well, in dedication to Aaliyah, but the song was with Timbaland and Missy. Um, that song will be forever remembered for me. That song was major, especially what they meant for each other, and him being from that DMV area and having connection to Virginia that he had, and that access to the great production from Timbaland as well. So Genuine was legendary in that fact because he, not only had the resources, but did something with the resources that he had. Because most of his good production came from Timbaland and from that Virginia tree that was just right across, in that DMV area. And I think that's why he has such a strong connection with Tank. Tank being used to being his background singer, and Genuine doesn't get enough. Tank does. He always credits Genuine and said he knew all of his songs and things like that because he was a fan of Genuine growing up, coming from that DMV area as well. He's from the DC area. I believe he was born in Milwaukee, but he grew up in that DC area. So he grew up with the influence of the Virginia music from, Missy, and I think he wrote one of the songs for Aaliyah. Um, Come Over, which is a major hit. So Genuine had a strong influence on, or still has a strong influence on Tank, and I think that's a part of being in the TGT group with, Tank, Genuine, and Tyrese, and that I covered before on this podcast. But he was able to have a long, lustrous career because of the resources he had around him and his ability to not only have those resources, but to take advantage of those resources and put them to good use. Because a lot of times you can have resources around you, but what you gonna do with it, as they used to say. But Stingy from that barbershop shop soundtrack is another one of my favorite songs from Genuine. Um, I love the "I'm Feeling You" song from Men in Black soundtrack, which I talked about before is a very underrated soundtrack, especially from an R&B perspective, that went on. But Genuine had a lot of great B-sides that he wasn't just Pony. He had a lot of other great songs than Pony, but Pony was the song that just transitioned to the pop world and got a lot of respect from a lot of different cultures and religions and things like that. So he was able to, you know, transcend just R&B with that song. So it's very unique to do that, and when you can do that, you catch lightning in a bottle, similar to what Lil Nas X did with the Old Town Road song, and what Usher was able to do with Confessions is very difficult to do, but you can do it. But I definitely have Genuine top 10 of his era, as he provided hits and quality music for us all and created moments as well. So until next time, I'll see you next time.